Welcome to the Kobe Bryant film room, right? And this is part 2 to the Kobe Bryant disrespect, right? This is part 2, and here's a conversation from Speak For Yourself. Let's get into it.
Kobe deserved to have both of his jerseys retired.
I thought he should have had a third, 007, because he flew in on a helicopter and he was dressed like a spy. It was totally Kobe. Listen, Kobe's always been about Kobe.
So they're honoring him, right? This is the media around the same time he's getting both of his jerseys retired. I just did a last video about them tearing down Kobe when it's supposed to be a moment of accomplishment, right? Here's another video of the media tearing down the man who's supposed to be in his moment in the sun. He's supposed to be being celebrated. And it was his last game for illustrious Hall of Fame career. Look how they're treating him.
You know, Shaq and Magic, they give off the vibe you want to give him a big hug. That's just the reality of Shaq.
I don't want to give a man a big hug. I'm good. I don't know what y'all need, but I'm straight. I don't need a big hug. I want to watch great basketball.
You want to give him a big hug. And
All these conversations are fucking bullshit.
Same way. There are certain people who don't give off that vibe. In Hollywood, actors and as entertainers. And I think Kobe was always Kobe. And by the way, his last game was perfect. That was perfect. It was almost sterile. It was Orange County Kobe flying up, brief, acknowledged. I always felt Kobe.
He didn't have to make a big scene about it, bro. He came in, he knew it was his last game, and he was with his family, and he came in to do his job.
Aired him, I would have never wanted to play with him. I can admire the mansion. I don't necessarily want to I don't want to live in it.
Well, that's you if you don't want to play with him. That means you don't like winning, right? You can play with other people and have fun. But if you want to win, you play with Bean, right? He's going to push you harder than you ever been pushed. And you might like it, you might not like it. That's up to you, sir. But the fact that you don't want to play with him says what?
He's great. He's an all-timer. That was sort of the way it should have ended. It wasn't overly emotional. It was kind of stoic.
Before the game.
He left before the game. I mean, that's kind of Kobe. Kobe is about Kobe, and I admired him for years, but I wouldn't want to play with him.
Narcissist, selfish.
Look. This is honoring a man after he did. Kobe deserve to have both jerseys retired. This is all about a man and being celebrated. Look how these fools act. Look how they're acting.
Where were all the teammates that helped him accomplish all these goals?
Some of them were in the audience. What do you want them to do?
There was a quick
Dance with them?
of Shaq. I'm just talking about out of Kobe's mouth. The acknowledgement of listen, I don't know the details of what happened between he and his parents. But when you're thinking I wouldn't be here without these
Shaq
guys.
was there. The guy you said hated Kobe and tell me how my ass tastes and all this stuff. Shaq was there. Shaq gave him props. What's the problem?
In the rafters. But what about mom and dad? Again, and I know they fell out later.
Now he got to bring his high school coach. He got to bring Gary Vee out there. He got to bring Phil Handy. Come on, get the fuck out of here.
Father was an actual pro basketball player who I'm sure had a lot to do with Kobe's success, particularly early.
He absolutely did, but you as everybody else knows, they had a rift, right? They had a rift.
Career.
And that's
I
none of
didn't
your
like the
business.
two jerseys. I wouldn't be here without these guys in the rafters. So let me put both of my jerseys up and be different than them and have more.
That wasn't his decision, sir. The Lakers franchise chose to do that. Take it up with Jeannie Buss. And yes, he did deserve to have 8 and 24 retired. He won 3 championships as number 8. And he won 2 back-to-back as number 24. He absolutely deserved 2 numbers retired. Y'all don't have a problem with Michael Jordan's number being retired for the Miami Heat, and he never played for them. Like, let's stop this bullshit. Now the media is campaigning for LeBron James to have his jersey retired after one fucking championship. And we're having talks about a fucking statue for LeBron James after one fucking championship. But they're mad at Kobe. That literally played all 20 years for the Lakers, having 2 jerseys retired. Sacrificing time with his family, the heart, the work ethic, the desire, the will to win, the passion. They want to dismiss all that, say, no, he don't deserve shit. He should have been grateful he was invited.
Them. Again, if you
it's bullshit.
When you get a certain age, you start figuring out that you didn't do this alone. Nothing is accomplished.
He never said he did it alone. You saying that. You're saying that he felt that way.
It's alone. And you get to an age where you don't want to be. You want to be a part of a team. You're going up in that.
Pau Gasol was celebrating Kobe, right? Trevor Ariza was good friends with Kobe. What the fuck are you talking about? Kobe never said he did it alone.
I think it's disrespectful to Will, to Kareem, to Magic, to Jerry West, to Gail Goodrich, to have both of Kobe's jerseys up there. They could have put one jersey up with both numbers on it.
Obviously, they felt he was different. He was more important as far as like keeping the Lakers afloat and having that 20-year career. As great as Magic was, he only played 14 years for the Lakers. Right? As great as Magic was, right? As great as Kareem was, he came a little later in his career. They had Kobe since he was 17, 18 years old, bro. They grew up, people literally grew up with Kobe.
Typical Kobe.
I think it's appropriate that he had both jerseys, and I'm fine with it because it speaks to the uniqueness of his career. He is, I believe, the only Lakers player ever, for all their great players, the only one to come straight out of high school.
Exactly, what I just stated.
The only one to play 20 years. Think about this. For people in America 35 and under, Kobe is the face of the Lakers. He is Mr. Laker. Like, we remember Magic Johnson.
And he repped the Lakers more than anything else. He beat the Celtics, right? He thrived in beating the Celtics. Said that was his greatest championship. He relished in that. He took pride in being a Laker.
He really
did.
But people 35 and under don't. They know about Kobe Bryant for the Lakers. So
and look, the other guys should be celebrated as well. But this ain't about them. This is about him.
I wouldn't want to see a habit made of guys changing their number and getting 2 retired. But in this case,
most players don't deserve that shit. We're talking about Kobe Bryant. We're not talking about Jason Richardson. Shout out to Jason Richardson. We're talking about Kobe Bryant, bro. Was he 4th all-time leading scorer? Come on, man.
I was fine with it.
Yeah. Whether you're fine with
LeBron gets 2 jerseys retired, I would love to see what they say.
it or you're not, he doesn't care. That's the thing about him. Kobe Bryant, from the
He shouldn't
beginning,
give a fuck.
he has never cared. And I think after the whole Colorado incident too, it chiseled him even more.
Shout out to Tony Gonzalez, man.
You know, I was telling you guys before the show started, there's a great trainer named Tim Grover. Tim Grover wrote a book called Relentless.
Yes.
And he worked with Michael Jordan. And he's worked with Dwayne Wade, and he's worked with Kobe Bryant. And he talks about the dark side of these type of athletes. Read that book if you really want to understand the mindset of someone like Kobe, someone like Dwayne Wade, where they don't care. It is one mission and one mission only. He's not here to satisfy us or to satisfy his teammates. All he cares about is winning more than anything else in the world. Literally.
Well, Mike was the same way. You could figure out that friendship shit later. He wanted to establish dominance and who he was as a basketball player. The friendship shit comes later. You can make friends. I mean, he made friends along the way, but it wasn't priority to him. He's dedicated to his craft. His legacy meant everything to him.
More family, more religion, more money, more fame. They want to win that game at all
Well,
costs.
he had his dream before he had his family. He had his dream of being the greatest basketball player ever. That was before he met Vanessa. So why would he stop his dream just because he met somebody? That person that he met is coming along with his dream, right? She's coming along to be a part of his dream, to add to his dream.
He'll do whatever it takes to win that game. He's not trying to make friends. He's trying to get there, get out, and go home back to his family and hang out because all he cared about was winning throughout his whole career.
And all he cared about was his family as well, right? All he cared about was playing ball, going home to his family. Go and play ball, taking a flight out, back home, and being with his kids.
Athletes, to some degree, have to be selfish. I mean, you just have to be, because there's only 24 hours in a day and you sleep 8. And so if it was like 8 work and 8 sleep and 8 social with friends, at some point, basketball's culture is about the young prodigy. And Kobe was, for about a 10-year window, the prodigy. And so the culture of basketball has shaped, by the way, even LeBron, who we think of as communal, he's cryptic messaging, he's manipulating.
Well, he does that, right? LeBron does that sometimes to push players, right? He uses the media to push players. But, I mean, bro, greatness requires sacrifice. Like, this is why I don't understand. And the higher you go up in greatness, the more you're going to sacrifice, the more you're going to give up. LeBron wants to spend time with his family too, but he can't because he's chasing his dream.
This message, and it's
About relationships with everybody he played with.
Here goes Jason Whitlock. Oh, y'all. You're gonna make us watch somebody eat a sandwich. God, oh, you.
Delicious fresh baked taste straight from your oven always wins. It's not
They're
delivery,
making
it's
us hungry.
DiGiorno.
Good grief.
With real relationships, LeBron does.
And
And
you don't know what type of relationships Kobe has. And you found out who he had relationships with after he died. Right? Relationships with Carmelo Anthony. Relationships with Trevor Ariza. Right? Relationships with Caron Butler. Friendships with Rick Hamilton. Right? Friendships with Pau Gasol. Friendships with you don't know. You don't know who he was tight with. Right?
Kobe, to me, again, I get it being all about winning. There's a process to winning. And again, there's a process of, there was a way to handle Shaquille O'Neal and extend the winning with Shaquille.
Shaquille O'Neal, once again, left because Laker management didn't want to pay an aging superstar with an attitude problem. He was never going to give Kobe the team. He was in the way. He didn't really want to work on his body and getting in shape. He started to break down. Shaq started to break down. Why did they ignore this? Kobe had nothing to do with Shaq going to Miami. The only thing he did, he had problems with Shaq, but it was, as far as what's put out there, unless something comes out later, the Lakers chose to go younger.
O'Neal. I don't think that was handled well.
But that's not all on Kobe.
Not all on Kobe, but this aloofness, this me, can't step into the other guy's shoes and see what it's like to be a
You
seventh.
think Michael Jordan could step into the other guy's shoes?
Like, this is a stupid ass conversation, bro. You guys judged him on winning three championships and no finals MVPs with Shaq, knowing damn well that any perimeter player that's playing with Shaq is not winning them damn MVPs. Then when he says, you know what, I want to prove my greatness. I want to win without Shaq. Right? And Shaq, he felt like Shaq didn't have that same push that he did. Right? Now you're sitting here saying, well, he should have got along with Shaq. Why? Y'all are discrediting him even more. You probably wouldn't even have him the top 20 if he stayed on a team with Shaq.
One of Jordan's teammates, college teammates.
Some of Jordan's teammates right now, and not to knock Michael Jordan, but some of his teammates hate his guts. They have resentment towards him. Horace Grant feels the type of way. right? Now, they dealt with who he was, but Horace Grant feels some type of way, right? Scottie Pippen, we all know Scottie Pippen in his feelings, right? You had Bill Cartwright, right? You had different guys who did not gel or mesh with Michael. But do y'all disparage Michael? No. Y'all celebrate Michael.
Good friend of Michael, still.
Well, you did celebrate Michael. Now you're trying to destroy him.
He told me Michael Jordan, as much as he likes him, was the most selfish person he's ever met in life. Jordan was badgering him. When you gonna come to a Charlotte game? When you gonna come to a game? So finally the guy goes, all right, I'll go to the game. Michael made him pay for his tickets. So, I mean,
Michael's an asshole for that. Hey, but Michael never said he was gonna pay for it.
that's just how, like you said, that's how some of these guys are.
That CEOs of companies, I mean, it's like you said, Steve Jobs. What do you think? Like, his reputation was horrendous. Like, you look at these guys, Lee Iacocca, like, just killers in their fields. But also, too, if you dig a little deeper and you see where he's from, Kobe, okay, right, grew up over in, speaks in Italy, speaks Italian, you grew up over there, never really went to college, so he doesn't understand the camaraderie amongst teammates. This guy is never, he doesn't get it because
you gotta think he was 17 years old, bro. The youngest guard to ever play in the NBA, the youngest all-star, right? So you gotta think, bro, where his mind was at back then. He was all about himself. Hell yeah.
never had it. And so it's kind of hard.
How many kids you think can see the world and be bigger than themselves? That's not how 18-year-olds operate. 18-year-olds are mostly self-absorbed.
Up and be friendly, chum, hanging out with guys when you've always been that young prodigy.
They also moved into the NBA, and he couldn't go drink with players. I remember reading a story in Sports Illustrated. He'd be in his room eating by himself every night in the road.
Listen, he did not have the stereotypical black upbringing of a basketball player, and he didn't fit in. Again, the guy speaks Italian. He grew up overseas for a time. He's not even really beloved in Philadelphia. You know, that's Allen Iverson's city. And so I get it. And I find Kobe, as much as it sounds like I'm beating up on the guy, I find
Kobe said nothing but negative things. How does it not sound like you beating up on the guy, bro? Like, you said nothing but some
fascinating. So do I. More than anything. I think, and I want to be careful how I say this because it'll come off as a huge negative. But I would love for a documentary to be done on Kobe, similar to the kind of way O.J. Simpson was examined and what he said about race and athletics during that time frame. I think Kobe says a lot about this generation of athletes, where we're at in modern America. Again, I'm sitting there.
Well, some of his statements prove to be accurate. I think AAU ball has damaged basketball, and I think the Europeans are taking over.
Watching all this adulation in Staples Center last night, and I'm thinking about Colorado and this time that
does he not deserve? What the fuck? Who thinks about Colorado during this celebration? Yo, he's not allowed to move on. He went to court. He had his day in court. He can't live his life.
We're in right now, and he signed an agreement and paid someone off.
What are you trying to do, bro? What were you trying to do 5 years ago, Whitlock? What were you trying to do?
Something vile and crude and criminal, potentially, and he's getting celebrated in this city at this time when men are losing jobs, careers, marriages.
What? You see what the extent these niggas is going through? Look at the extent he's going to. Yo, this is crazy.
Kobe is fascinating. And
like, is he on TV?
I'm not.
Is he on TV just winging it, or are they giving him a script to follow? What is this?
Sure, he's polarizing more than beloved, but he was beloved last night.
Well, he's
beloved by Lakers fans, bro. Now, people outside of LA, they're not going to understand that as much. right? Which is understandable. They love their team. They love their players. Just like Michael Jordan's beloved in Chicago. He might not be beloved in New York like that.
Kobe's very unique. If you look at the greatest players in league history, they're all real unique. There was the skyhook. Wilt could have been a pro volleyball star. Magic was a 6'9" point. Barkley was a 6'6" power forward that could shoot jumpers, and
Barkley was awesome back then.
Was 6'10" and a half in the league.
All the guys were awesome.
Kobe's a little bit of a knockoff brand. Of all the great...
Okay, see. Disrespectful. A knockoff brand, bro. So just because you play like somebody, you're a knockoff now.
Players, there's always been a chip on Kobe. You know when we talk about NFL quarterbacks have a chip on their shoulder? Aaron Rodgers went to junior college. And
this has been nothing but disrespect. The only people who kind of been semi-disrespectful, and I got to give it to Chris Broussard. Chris Broussard, sometimes he caps, but in this conversation, he's been kind of objective. Tony Gonzalez has been objective. Jason Whitlock has been rude and disrespectful, and Colin Cowherd is kind of playing both sides of the fence, but he's still being a jackass. He's trying to give Kobe compliments, but he's still being a jackass with his compliments.
And dropped in that. Kobe's one of the only stars. He got a chip because his whole career. Well, you sound like MJ, you play like MJ.
He had that chip coming into the league, bro.
You're not MJ. Everybody else did. Well, but I'm saying is, he's a very unique all-time player.
Yeah.
I would again make the point, because of his unique upbringing, he chose to be a knockoff rather than an original. When you look at all...
Now he's a knockoff rather than the original, right? Now he's a knockoff. We're talking about a guy who has 2 jerseys retired. He's just some cheap knockoff. The disrespect is
all the other, from Allen Iverson to LeBron James to almost at Magic Johnson.
So if he came in playing like Magic, you call him a knockoff too, right? So throughout 70, 80 years of NBA basketball, how many years? 70 years to that point of NBA basketball, right? Who players came before him? Players have different styles. Who's he supposed to take up after? Why not take up after the greatest player that you guys say the greatest player to ever play the game? Right? Why not? Right? And I think the reason why is because he was able to do it. He was able to pull off those same moves Michael Jordan did. And a lot of Jordan fans, they resent him for that. Some of them do. Let me be fair. A lot of Jordan fans love Kobe, but it's some that have resentment for him, and they hate him because they want Michael Jordan to be here, right? They want him to be. They felt like Kobe was a threat at a certain point in time. Right? But all Kobe wanted to do was be the best basketball player he could possibly be. So he took from everybody. He took from Gary Payton, right? He took from Mike, right? And so he took a little bit from different people, right? There's nothing wrong with that, bro. Nothing wrong with trying to be great. The dick riding is unbelievable.
They all wanted to be unique and be their own thing. Kobe wanted to be a knockoff because, again, I think
he wanted to be a knockoff. So that's in Kobe's mind. Hey, I'm gonna be a knockoff.
Has struggled.
No, he wanted to be Mike, but better. That's what he wanted to be. Right? Now you can debate whether he achieved that or whatever, but he wanted to be better. He wanted to be the greatest ever.
With his identity, and again, most people struggle with their identities in their youth. I think it is extended for Kobe beyond that, and it made him an aloof person, and it made him, again, it's great he won 5 championships. I think if he had a different personality and was more LeBron-like, he might have 8.
I'll say this about Kobe.
If he was more LeBron-like, he wouldn't be the player that he was. He'd be LeBron. And y'all would knock him for being a knockoff LeBron. right? So the fact that he chose, first of all, I think that's his personality. I think he's just I think he's just like Michael. I don't think he's trying. You can't pretend. One thing about Michael Jordan, right? You can't pretend to be like Michael. Those guys who pretend to be like Michael, they won't survive around Michael. Michael is naturally aggressive, right? It comes natural. He wants to outwork you. The competitiveness. You can't fake competitiveness. You can't fake it. You can't fake getting up at 3 a.m. in the morning and working out like Kobe did. You can't fake it. His trainers, right? Saying that, and he had Tim Grover too, saying that Kobe's a harder worker than even Jordan. He said Jordan works smarter, Kobe works harder. Right? You can't fake that. All the players around Kobe says his work ethic was second to none. You can't fake that shit. That's who he is. And I think what they're doing, right, is people are confusing the fact that he was inspired by MJ to him getting his personality from, like, who he is as a person from MJ. Kobe Bryant had that in him. He had that in him. So I think that's why him and Mike drew close together. Because they were alike. They're trying to diminish and cheapen him, like it's wrong, bro.
You know, early in his career, he was certainly aloof. I mean, I remember seeing him at the practice facility and catching him alone and walking up to him outside of it. And he's kind of looking at me like, how dare you come up in my space, you know? But as time went on,
I ain't even gonna go there, y'all. I think Kobe probably looking at this nigga like, yo, you gonna come over? Like, who is you, nigga? Like, you talk all that shit on the radio, and you think I'm about to fuck with you?
And he became a lot more personal. I think part of it, he entered the league at 17. Yeah. And we literally saw him grow up in a fishbowl in front of us. And I noticed later in his career, he was a lot different, a lot more personable, a lot more friendly. And I say this, I have to be honest.
No, he's gotten torn down from that Colorado case that Whitlock brought up. He probably looked at the media as his enemy. Right? Bro, if somebody went to try and destroy your life, or you felt like somebody was trying to destroy your life, bro, you're not going to be buddy-buddy. You won't see them and you won't want to be short with them. You don't want to distance yourself from them. Y'all don't think that had anything to do with it?
I don't think it's just a front. But
plus
when
he knows y'all fake.
Watch Kobe Bryant, whether you saw it last night, whether you saw some of the interviews he's done, you know, leading up to this jersey retirement, he seems very well adjusted. And he is not courting the spotlight. He's not out there trying to get on NBA TV shows and talk about the game like a lot of other players. Nothing wrong with that. But it speaks to me like he's comfortable with who he is. He's just going to be this businessman. He wants to tell these stories and, you know, do what he's doing. And he's not seeking the attention anymore. So I don't think the narcissism, it doesn't appear to be still there, because even last night, he wasn't soaking in.
Was it ever a narcissism, or was it just confidence, bro? Now, maybe he was. I didn't know him personally. Maybe he was a narcissistic asshole. Who knows? But it doesn't really matter when we're talking about his jersey retirements.
All the adulation from Iverson and 50 Lakers teammates that were there. He was just get in, get out, and go about his business.
Don't mention any of my teammates.
Well, I mean, Phil wasn't even there.
Don't mention Phil. Okay. All right.
Can I argue this, though?
Did he have time for all that shit? Wasn't that like a halftime quick ceremony? I don't think he had time for all that shit. He just wanted to go on there, make his presence known, say a quick statement, and walk the fuck off.
He's authentic to who he is.
And he's got to be. That's what I'm saying. That's back to what Tim Grover says in his book. Like, this is just who these guys are. And it has been a journey back to who he really is, starting at such a young age, Growing up, being in the spotlight, I was in Kansas City. That's not even close. He's in Los Angeles with the greatest franchise of all time. Growing up, being a superstar, going through all the adversity that he went through. It's hard. It's hard.
By the way, Peyton Manning's out there. I eat Oreos.
And that's the biggest spotlight of all time. Playing in LA, there's no bigger spotlight and no bigger arena to showcase your abilities, right? There's no bigger arena to showcase your abilities. And so that's just what it is, y'all. It's just what it is. But this is the Kobe Bryant Film Room. I'm out.